boys and girls. Today we're going to be reading Chapter 5, KIA-DIA. That night after dinner, I told my mom and dad about the science fair. We were having ice cream for dessert. Mom and I had chocolate, and Dad and Abby had vanilla and strawberry. Abby's my little sister. She's 2 years younger than I am. So back then, when I was in 3rd grade, Abby was a 1st grader. I handed the science fair booklet to my dad. Right away, he flipped through it. He looked at each page for about 2 seconds. He said, "Okay, yeah, that makes sense. This is good. Fine. Great, Jake. This will be a lot of fun." Then he ripped the permission slip off the back page. He signed his name and handed his pen to me. "Just sign on the line, Jake." "There you go. Now we're all set. So what do you think? You want to make a rocket or maybe a volcano? Those are a lot of fun. Or maybe a model of a planet. I always loved making Saturn, you know. The one with all the rings? That's a great project." Meanwhile, my mom started reading the booklet carefully. I like how the author says that the dad read it in 2 seconds and the mom read it carefully. This tells us something about the dad and the mom, about how they approach the schoolwork. Abby wasn't doing anything except stirring her ice cream around and around in her bowl. Mom said, "My goodness, Jim, did you see that there's a prize for 1st place?" "Well, of course." "Well, sure," Dad said. "There's always a prize for 1st place. When I won my 7th grade science fair, I got a nice trophy, but I think my sister threw it out when I went to college." My mom winked at me. Then she said to Dad, "Okay, you know there's a prize, but do you know what the prize is?" My dad said, "Well, no, not exactly." So he didn't know what the prize is because he was just glancing through the pages. It said he read it every 2 seconds. "But I know there's a prize, so we'll try to win it. Right, Jakey? Like with a rocket, something really exciting. The judges love exciting projects." Mom had flipped to another page. She looked sideways at me and said, "Jake, why don't you tell your dad why you will not be making a rocket for the science fair?" I said, "That's because on page 3 it says I can't make anything that burns or smokes or explodes." Dad said, "Well, there are other kinds of rockets, like the kind that use water power. You know, a water rocket, so we could still make a rocket." Mom laughed and said, "That sounds like something a KIA-DIA might say." I said, "What's that mean? KIA-DIA?" Abby looked up from her ice cream soup. She said, "I know. It means know-it-all/do-it-all. Mommy told me." And I remembered that I heard my mom say that before. One time, Dad wouldn't read. One time, Dad wouldn't read about how to put a new bicycle together. Mom said he was being a KIA-DIA. And when we got a new garage door opener, it broke because Dad hooked the motor on backwards. He didn't read the instructions. When that happened, Mom said, "Dear, sometimes I wish you weren't such a KIA-DIA." Or when my dad wouldn't stop and ask for directions when we were lost in the car, I heard Mom say, "Don't be a KIA-DIA." Mom handed the booklet back to Dad, and he started reading. So a KIA is a know-it-all, and a DIA is a do-it-all. So they think they know everything, so they don't have to read instructions or rules or guidelines or directions. And a do-it-all would be they just go ahead and do it without even looking at the instructions or directions. And it sounds like when they do that, they get stuff wrong. Like he got the garage door opener, it broke because the motor was on backwards. Or he got them lost because he went and asked for directions. I said, "You know the prize? It's amazing, Dad. If I win 1st prize, I get a Blantinium 12 computer from Wonky's supercomputer store." Dad said, "A whole system? A Blantinium 12? "Yeah," I said, "and a year of free internet service too." Dad whistled. And then Abby tried to whistle too, but instead some melted ice cream drooled down her chin. That the author put that in there. It really didn't have anything to do with what's going on in the chapter. So why did the author put that in there? The author put that in there to help you picture and visualize what's going on, that they're sitting around the dinner table and Abby's a first grader, so she's kind of just making a mess and ice cream is drooling down her chin. So the author also put that in there to help you laugh, to bring some humor to this chapter. Dad looked at the booklet again. He said, "Well, I guess we better get right to work on this. Eh, Jake? See that? How my dad said we? He said, we had better get right to work. That we got me worried. This was supposed to be my science fair. Right in the science fair booklet, it said that kids had to do their own work. And then I thought, what if Dad thinks he's going to get a new computer when my project wins first prize? Kids like Kevin and Marcia, I knew they were going to be a problem. I was ready for that. But what if your dad is a KIA and a DIA too? How do you tell your own dad to keep hands off and that you don't want to share your new computer with anyone, not even him? On this science fair project, there was only room for one KIA, and that was me. Okay, so that was chapter 5. So now for your work, you're going to go into your Google Reading Classroom. You can go to your stream and go to your Jake Drake slides. And it's down a little ways. And it's right here, Jake Drake work slides to complete. Or you can go to classwork. And if you go down to classwork to e-learning April, May, and hit view more, the e-learning April, May has all of our assignments that I've assigned after spring break. And it has the Jake Drake work slides to complete. I've got mine pulled up. So slide 12 tells you what to do. After listening to chapter 5, on the next slide, answer the questions that go along with chapter 5. And then here is the work for chapter 5. So it says fill in the boxes with Mr. Drake's science fair ideas. So I'm going to go back to my book. What was one of Mr. Drake's science fair ideas? So I'm going back to my text. And on this page, he says, you want to make a rocket or maybe a volcano or maybe a model of a planet. So then I would come back to my slides and type the 3 different ideas he said. Then number 1, what is wrong with Dad's science fair ideas? Type it in a complete sentence. Number 2, do you think Mr. Drake is a know-it-all, do-it-all? Support your answer with at least 2 text details. So you need to say, yes, you think he's a know-it-all because, or no, because, and then you need to give me 2 details from the text. And then you need to say, who is Abby? Use the information in chapter 5 to write a sentence to describe her. So that is your work for today. And then, and we will read chapter 6 tomorrow. Y'all have a great day.